Hello, and this is episode 3 of using your Jeti to set up a Curare to the suggested instructions of Hanno Pretner that came with the Schweighofer ARTF. So let's cracking on. I said at the end of the last episode we're going to do the mixers, so let's do that. Go into menu, fine tuning, free mixes, and we're going to add from the elevator to the flap. We're going to do our snap flap, and I want it to go on a switch, which is this one. I'm surprised at that. I thought we'd set up sounds on event on that switch. Say OK. Because I'm going to go back to the sounds on event because I'm sure we set that up. Yeah, on SH. What a numpty, I've got the volume control turned off.
Snap flap is on.
Yep. Back to our fine tuning, free mixes, elevator to flaps, edit. Right, what value? Well, thing is, we can put in a value obviously to mix our snap flaps, but maybe you don't want it coming in as soon as you move the elevator stick, because you're sort of flying along your level line, getting ready to do your square loop, half loop, whatever, and you've got to make a little adjustment. Well, at that point, do you want the snap flap coming in and making the elevator a good deal more sensitive? Maybe not. So what I'm going to do is try making it a 7-point curve. Yep. In other words, I'll be able to take out a bit of the early travel, get that down to 0, and that to 0 as well. You tend to be using a heck of a lot of elevator travel when you're doing a square edge, square corner to a loop anyway, so the shape of the curve is not too problematic for me. The important thing is that if I'm making little adjustments on the elevator just to get my tracking right and trying to maintain a level line as I'm coming up to the point of doing it, the flap won't be coming into the mix and therefore won't be making it too effective. And then when we get there, big movements, the snap flap will come in. I'm in low rates at the moment, actually. Is that my rate switch?
Rates are high.
That's more like it. Okie doke.
Rates are medium.
That's the one I'd normally fly around on. But we're going to do a snap flap.
Rates are low.
Would go there. Sorry,
rates are high.
You'd want that for doing your square loop. So we'll say OK to that. And now all that's left to do is set a value. The instructions say 27 up and down. So first of all, let's whiz in some value and see if it goes the right way. No, it goes the wrong way, so we'll go negative. In other words, I want up elevator and down flap. There we go. And if I put my ruler against it, oh, it's degrees it's after. Well, I haven't got an angle meter for it, so I'll just look for some sort of value that looks about right. The other way as well. This looks a bit much, actually. I'll go for that. Okie doke. There we are. If I switch it off,
flap is off.
No effect. Switch it
Snap
back on.
Flap is on.
And I'll show you the effect. There's our flap with up elevator and with down elevator. And there's this sort of little neutral band where I can move the elevator. You can maybe just see the elevator moving there without the flap moving, and then when I get to a certain point, the flap comes in. Lovely. So that's that one set. Say OK to that. Next, our knife edge mixers. You'd think a Curare would be sort of designed, it didn't need it, but it's got them in the instructions, and you never know, you might have a slightly different balance point, trims on the ailerons, motor thrust line, so you never know what sort of coupling you might get. So let's do it just for the sake of doing it, especially since there's the interesting point of rudder to 2 aileron servo mixing. Doesn't quite go the way you'd think it would in Jeti, or rather you don't quite use the control you'd think you would. So from rudder to ailerons, I'm going to leave it permanently switched on. I don't mind it. It's usually such a small amount anyway, and yeah. We'll give it a master value of 100%. You think, what? That's an awful lot of rudder to aileron mixing. Indeed it is. But if you want asymmetric mixing, which you most likely do, because you might get a bit more roll in one direction than the other, so you need to tune them out, don't use the curve. The curve is the one you would obviously think to use, especially if you need to do a V-shaped curve. But anyway, you'd set 3 points and you'd set different end points. What you'll get is a very bizarre behavior. I've made a video about it, so look at that if you want. This is the one we actually want, the mix output. Servo 1 left, servo 2 right, and we've got positive and negative travels. That doesn't mean the up travel and the down travel, because of course the system isn't entirely sure which way you've set your linkages and horns and stuff. So obviously we've set the master to 100, but we don't want the individual servos traveling 100%. We might only want about 5%. So let's pick servo 1, click on that, and we'll take it all the way down to 10% and see which version of travel, up or down, that affects. That's its down travel. And if I push right aileron, the aircraft would roll right. I'll take a gamble. The aircraft would roll slightly right, so I'll want left aileron, and that's going down. So actually I'll want that to be minus 10%. It won't do it. So we'll go back to 10%, come up here and set the mix to minus 100%, come down here, and if I push right, I'll want, it'll roll, let's say it's going to roll right, so I'll want left aileron. That's better. Okey-doke. So that's its downgoing value, 10%. I'll set its upgoing value of 10%, 10% as well. And then we'll just do the same for servo 2. And now, yep, as you can see, I've got a very, very little amount of aileron with that. Rightio. Say OK. What else do we want? Rudder to elevator. Add from rudder to elevator. Again, I'm not going to switch it on and off. You can if you wish. So we can just set a master value actually. Go for 10%. Go to, I wonder if we set that to 100 for the moment, because of course as you move the rudder, one way moves the elevator up, the other moves it down. And in this case we do want a curve. I wonder would single direction fix it? No. So we do need to use the curve. It's safe to use it because it's not like the dual elevator, dual aileron problem. And let's say there's our crosshair, so that's left and that's going up. Right is going down. We'll take a gamble just for the moment that we want it both going up. So that goes up, that's up aileron both ways, and we can set those to be separates. You'd actually do this after flight testing, of course, but what I'll do is just set in a little bit to show you. I have 20% on that side and 50% on that side. In reality, yes, you're only going to want 1, 2, 3% at the most. Well, maybe 5, 6, whatever. It's going to be very small. I've just used an exaggerated amount to show you that whichever way I move the rudder, we're getting up elevator, and we've got different amounts for each side. Okie doke. Okay to that one. That's those mixes done. Right, let's have a look at the telemetry into advanced stuff. There we go. Timer sensors, logging setup. I've got a MUI in here, so it should be showing those things. Good. Do I want to log the receiver voltage and antenna values? Yes, I do. Do I want to log transmitter status? Yes. Alarms and messages, yes, but I'm not interested in logging individual controls. And am I interested in logging the MUI voltage? Yeah. Yes, because should I have some sort of control loss of the model, since it's running purely off the battery BEC, it'd be nice to know the voltage if something went wrong. Current and capacity and runtime and watt minutes. I'm not bothered about logging those on the card to look at them later. So I'll just say no to those, keeps it tidy. It's okay to that. Need to set up my alarms. There's a voltage alarm less than 4.5, that's fine. So I'm going to add sensor, telemetry, the MUI capacity, enable that. Condition X is greater than. I like to set an alarm at 70% of battery capacity to come in and land. This is a 3300, so 70% is around about 2300. There we go. So 2300, what do I want it to do? I want it to tell me the 70% battery used. Which is this one.
70% battery used. Land now.
Okay, so I don't bother with a timer, I just fly around until that tells me that it's happened. Set low voltage alarm at startup only. Okay, I'll add another telemetry voltage, enable it. Condition is less than or equal to, it's a 6S battery showing 22.4 volts at the moment. What would 6S be fully charged? 6.4 is 24, 25.2. So I want to know when I switch this thing on, if I haven't put in a fully charged battery, I've accidentally put in one that's already been used or partially discharged. So I'll set the alarm at 24 volts. But I'm only going to want it at startup, so I come down here, use only during pre-flight check. Yes, there's no file for it. If I plug in a less than fully charged battery at the start, it'll come up and warn me up here, and it will not be happy to let me carry on. Repeat is switched on, so it'll just keep going. Okay, that's that one done. Let's take off things from the list. Okay. Done. Right, let's do a little bit more safety stuff. How are we doing? 14 minutes. I will crack on. I want to set the switches. So we go into Advanced Properties, Stick Switches Setup. Now this is where I'm going to make sure that when I switch the transmitter on, various controls are in the correct place. Things like the throttle lock is in the on position, the throttle stick is off, the retracts are down. Anything else? Yep, the rates are in medium, that the snap flap mixer is off. So let's do all that lot. P1, 2, 3, 4. P4 is the throttle, and I want it to be at throttle fully back is X, which is off. So I'll come down here, required pre-flight position, bottom off. Incidentally, sometimes if you're dealing with switches, etc., up might say, you know, you might think it's top, but it's actually bottom. Read it from this, the X, whether it's an X or a tick. Off, on. Use the off on there. So we want that off. So we'll say OK to that one. What else do I want? I want my throttle lock, which is SD, to be in the off that position. Throttle lock is on. As far as it's concerned, the switch is at the X position. So we come down to that pre-flight position, off. Okay. What else do I want? I want my rates to be at medium.
Rates are medium.
Okie dokie, and that's SE. So we come along to SE and come down. Pre-flight position, none. Bottom, top, center. That's where I want it to be. So it's at medium rates for takeoff. Okie dokie. And I'm sure like the servo reversing, we can move along. What else did we want? Oh, I want the snap flap mixer, which is SH. H.
Snap flap is off.
Off. The switch in that position is a tick, so we want on. So I've set my throttle lock and throttle stick. I've set my rates. I've set my snap flap. Oh, retracts still to do. Which was switch A. We'll check up on this voltage alarm in a moment. And it's switch A, B. It's switch B. Switch B. Yep, that's definitely it. And it's in the X position, so bottom off. Okay to that. Right. That's all those done. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a break there, and we'll come back and set up our flight modes, digital trimmings, and various bits and pieces there. Okie doke.